Okay, now that we have been introduced to the Marquee tool, let's do a couple different advanced things to really make this tool work for us in Photoshop. Now it's important to remember that a selection is this area inside the box. So we're telling Photoshop, hey, there's something inside this box that we want. All right? Now it's also important to remember that this select drop-down menu will give us a number of options in which we can modify, change, expand, contract, feather this selection. All right, inverse is a big one too. Okay, and we're going to go over that because this is important to understand in regards to working with masks. Okay, so let's go back to this Marquee tool. Again, if I click this lower right-hand corner and hold, I can get an elliptical, all right, or a circle. M on my keyboard is the key command for that tool as well. Now notice if I click inside this selection, I can move this selection. All right, if I click outside the selection goes away. So it's very important to kind of orient yourself to how this tool works. So very simply, let's create a shape. Now if I hold Shift, click and hold, and I'm dragging, I can create this nice box. All right, if I click inside the box, I can move the box. Now that I have this shape selected, I want to create a color inside this box. So I'm going to go to Layer, New Fill Layer, Solid Color. Okay, it's asking me if I want to create a new layer, all right, and it's naming that layer for me. I'm going to hit OK, and now look, our layer has been created in our layers palette. Also, I get a new dialog box, all right, so I'm going to tweak this color. All right, maybe I'll make it a nice West orange. Now notice in my color picker here, I can go back and forth on this rainbow, this color spectrum, and then within the spectrum, I can change the hue and saturation of the color. Let's get a genuine cowboy orange. Okay, there we go. So here we go. So we've created a new shape, all right, in the form of a rectangle. We've created it as a solid color. All right? So one thing I do want to point out here is this FX panel. All right? Now if I click this, I can add a number of different effects to this shape. All right? So let's just add a drop shadow. Dialog box comes up. Now notice here, this is this drop shadow. These controls or options in this dialog box are going to allow me to change the orientation of this particular drop shadow. Notice I can increase the distance, all right, the spread, and the size. Maybe I'm going to drop down the opacity a little bit. That black is really intense. And so this gives the illusion of shape, right, where we have the box looking as if it is sitting above our white piece of paper. Now notice in this dialog box for my FX panel, I have a number of different effects I can add. I'm going to add one more here. I'm going to create a little bit more shape and dynamic to this orange box. I'm going to hit bevel, and now I'm going to tweak this inside. It's an inside bevel. Smooth is the technique, and I'm going to kind of push this up. Now notice Photoshop is now taking the edges of this box and creating what's to be a little three-dimensional shape to it. We're going to soften it a little bit. We can also change the angle or radius. Now notice it's all, this preview is all in here as well. And I can also click and unclick the preview box to see what my effects are really doing. So very simply, I have made some really dynamic and interesting effects to this layer. Notice here that these effects are attached to this square. So if I click this eyeball off, these effects go away. If I click it back on, they return. If I double click onto the specific effect, I can now go in and make adjustments if I want to. A big success in Photoshop is your ability to explore. You must want to sort of explore and learn independently on your own. Just give it a shot. Try something. Click on something. All right. Thanks.